A lot of builders don't put time into this part because they're not getting paid for it.
Duayne, one of the things that we talk about in Live Life Build is we don't talk about quotes, we talk about proposals. And the fact that when you're putting together a cost for the project, a presentation for the project about what this project is going to cost your client, it's actually a proposal. Why do you think that a lot of builders overlook the importance of the proposal in their project and in how they think about it and how they approach putting it together?
100%. A proposal is just as important as your contract. Knowing what we know now in business, the proposal can help you cover so many other areas, like setting expectations, dealing with contractual obligations, setting clear scopes of work so everyone knows what they're doing. But like so many builders, I believe, do get into a bit of a trap where they do think that's all they're providing is a quote. And like I know over the years, back when we got involved in tendering, like some of the prices that you would, or the quotes that you would come up against, like were a single page. And for me, that is just a recipe for disaster. Like if you want to have a great relationship and a great outcome from any project with a client, you need to give them a proposal, and a proposal can help you solve so many other areas of your business.
Yeah, I mean, as an architect, I've been on the receiving end of some of those kinds of quotes where it is literally, it might be a couple of pages or it might be 3 lines. It just literally says the cost of this project based on drawings XXX is this amount of money. And you're like, how am I supposed to explain this to a client, let alone the client understand, yeah, okay, I'm going to make a choice to choose this builder to spend this amount of money with it. It's crazy that the builder has missed this incredible opportunity in this communication with the client to actually put forward something that's far more informative and also helps them explain why the project is costing what it's going to cost.
And that's a really important one because like your proposal, like my mindset back in the day, before we do what we do now, was I always believed that if I put as much information as I could into a proposal, even if I was dearer than other builders, my goal was to get the clients asking me questions, or not so much me, the other builders. And I wanted to put them in a position where they're like, this other builder's only, like, he's not told me all this. Like, so I now need to go back to him and I need to ask him all these questions. And it was really funny because any client that gave us the opportunity back in the day to sit down with them and compare, like go through our proposal. I was probably a little bit cheeky at the time. Like I would ask if they didn't mind, like I'm happy to sit down and go through proposals and compare them. And it was really, really good experience for me because I got to see, like it enforced what I was thinking was going on. And when we'd go through my proposal, like I'd have all these scopes of works. I'd list out any issues I'd picked up in the drawings. I'd list out materials that I was going to use. I'd list out details that I thought might be required for the job. So I wasn't just telling the client what they were going to get. I was helping solve issues that would ultimately would become a variation through the job. And so when they gave me an opportunity to compare, it was so easy. Like it was very, very unusual for us to come up against another proposal. I was always reviewing my proposal against someone else's quote, and it just made it so easy for us to build a relationship with the client, and ultimately that's led to where we are now with the PAC process because we just kept growing and growing and growing off of our proposal.
I think too, when you actually take this mindset that what you're doing is creating a proposal for a client, that's a much more professional way of presenting a price to a client for their project. And if you're asking a client to spend, even if it's $50,000 to, $5 million, for a homeowner who's investing in their project, this is going to be a lot of money to them. If they're building their future family home or renovating their future family home, my experience with homeowners is that they will be spending the most amount of money that they can afford without financially crippling themselves. It'll be a huge investment. And if you're presenting something that explains clearly, sets the expectations, goes through in detail what's included in the project, gives them that line item scope so that they can see that you've thought about things that they haven't thought about in terms of how to build or renovate their future home. That positions you with such professionalism, such expertise and experience that immediately that sets you apart from anybody else that they're looking at in terms of you being the right fit for their project.
Yeah, and look, the software that we use for our proposals is amazing. Like, it allows us to, we don't only give the client a scope of works, it's got all of our company details on it. Like, they can look us up, they can do their license checks, it's got all of their details, the job address, the plan numbers, and we quite often will put in a spiel about what they're going to get when they work with DPS Constructions, but we also set in our proposal our payment terms. So we are now using our proposals to actually start informing them. Like, even though we're doing the pack process, we're talking through things, the proposal is generally the first point that they're actually getting it in a document, because this is coming before the contract. So we're setting a standard. Like, they're learning what it's going to be like to work with us. And by the time we get to a contract, everything just flows so smoothly. But my goal with the proposal is that every single person can look at it and know what they're like, whether the client can look at it and they know exactly what doors they're getting, architraves, like timber claddings, how many coats of paint. I can look at it and know exactly what I've priced. My supervisor can look at it and know exactly what trades are to do on site and what he has to manage. And ultimately, like, the scopes of works that we put in our proposal are the same scopes of works that we've done up in the very beginning. We've sent them to our trades, and our trades have priced a scope of works. So they're not just giving us a figure on a piece of paper either. So changing your mindset from quote to proposal, like doing the pack process or having a process that allows you, because I think the other big part of this is a lot of builders don't put time into this part because they're not getting paid for it. And it takes a lot of time to put together a very detailed and outlined proposal, but it is a massive shift for your mindset. Like, when you start delivering proposals that are setting your client up for the way they're going to work with you, how you're going to execute your projects, clear scopes of works, I know what I'm doing, supervisor, trades, employees, everyone knows what they're doing. We can refer back to it through the job, and we can see what plumbing fixtures are allowed, how many square metres of tiles we've allowed. It not only makes it a better experience for the client, our business runs better because we're not double and triple doing things along the way, or we're not getting to a point where we're like, far out, it's rough in stage. Like, what are we allowed for electrical? What are we allowed for plumbing? Like, our proposal is a detailed document that runs the project.
Yeah, and then it's very clear if there's any disagreement or discussion on site later on where a client says, well, this is what we discussed, or this was what was here, and you can say, well, no, actually, this proposal, I've shown you here exactly what this price reflects and what was allowed, then you've given an accurate assessment of what your estimation was at the beginning that you've got to call back on. And that then enables you to be ensuring that the work that you did to create the price actually flows through into the delivery of the project as well.
And like you said, like, assumptions are the mother of all F-ups, and that is what was happening in my business. And so many situations we got ourselves into was simply because we weren't giving the client enough detail, and again, that's what started growing and improving proposals and obviously getting to a point where we built our own software. But like, it's I laugh about it now, but like, I hear builders out there all the time whinging that they've done a fit out and the client's not happy with the doors, or they're not happy with the skirting, and there's been arguments. The client wants them to replace things, and I'll be like, well, did you tell them what they were getting? What do you mean? Like, did you show them an example, or did you have a product code that they could get online and look up? And I laugh now, but like, I used to do that. Like, I used to make the assumption that every job we did had flush ready coat panel doors, it had standard splayed skirting and architraves, but I didn't ask the question, or worse, I didn't inform the client what I'd allowed in their project. So when those situations come up and the client's on site, or you're having a walkthrough and they're like, oh, did we get a decision on that? Like, what's that skirting you've installed down there? Oh, that's just what we do. That's our standard on all of our jobs. The client didn't know that. So our proposals give, like, I believe the more detail you can give a client, and we do everything. Like, we even tell them the types of hinges we're going to use on the doors. It just takes all that unnecessary assumption out of it, and everybody is on the same page.
Yeah, and so much of this, if you're a builder who's doing similar kinds of projects all the time, so much of this can be in a templated document that you just have as part of your pricing system for projects. So it might take a bit of work to set up to begin with, to get all of these standard items that you regularly use into a template, but then that gives you a head start whenever you are then creating a price for a project to put together a very detailed proposal. So it just irons out so many issues and causes of confusion and protects you as a builder in the long run as well.
Yeah, so look, never ever make assumptions. Show your clients as much detail as possible. And at the end of the day, if it is standard to you and there is something that you want to use as a standard on every single project, that's fine. But take the time to detail in your proposal so your clients know what they're getting.
Yep. Stop doing quotes, start doing proposals.